First up, let's talk sanitation. So this is from my good friends at the Sanitation Conversation. Their website is right here, and I will probably put it in a link down below. They've gifted me this beautiful kit of everything that you could possibly need to sanitize your products, your tools, and all of your kit for your clients' use. So things that are really important. I'm gonna go through some of the stuff that's in here, but I'm gonna show other versions because I have this stuff already in my kit, so I haven't gone into that yet, but I will be using that going forward. My first thing that I think is super important is sanitizing your hands, and the winning product for me is called Jow. Jow is an alcohol-based sanitizer, but it also has a ton of botanical oils like aloe vera, geranium, lavender, eucalyptus. It's super fresh, it smells good, and it's got more than one use. So you can use this to sanitize hands, lipsticks, pencils, eyeliners. You can use it when you're sweaty on set and just do a little spritz here and there. It's great on pimples. Every time I use this, my clients fall in love with it. So I think Jow should send me some because I sell a lot of Jow. Other things that I like to keep in my kit are alcohol, a little spray bottle of alcohol. Now this one is 90% alcohol, which is super, super strong. I use this more so for sanitizing powder products because it dissipates quickly and it doesn't destroy the product. So like powder eyeshadows, pressed powder foundations, bronzers, all of those things. Before you put a product on a client, you wanna wipe it off, spray it, wipe it again, and then you can either apply directly from the product to the client, or you can do what's called ghosting, which I'll demonstrate in a later video. Also brush cleaner. So I have tons of these little bottles that I fill with my Cinema Secrets brush cleanser. In order to use this, you need a little container to dip your brushes and swirl. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Other hygiene needs. This is my little kit that I travel with. Inside, when I open it up, now this is a kit I got at Container Store, but I customize it with my own wands and tools that I've collected. So I got my black Q-tips from Muji. These are really handy and they're really sleek. I've got tons of mascara wands in different sizes to fit the needs of the client. So smaller brushes for smaller eyes, bigger brushes for bigger eyes, bigger brushes for more volume. Tweezers, brow combs, lash glue. My favorite thing on the planet for traveling is doggy poo-poo bags. Now these are great on set as a little trash bag. I also love these at the end of my makeup job to throw my brushes in a clean bag and tie it up in the bottom of my kit so that I don't use those brushes. I know they're dirty, and then I can clean them later and put them back where they go. I also have things like little hair clips, lip gloss, just must-have items that are easy to grab. And then of course you need tissue. So we went through all the items that you need for sanitation: hand sanitizer, alcohol, brush cleaner, all the wands that you need, plus tissue. Let's talk brushes. So cleaning your brushes is essential for your daily use, for your client use, for everything. I think people don't clean their brushes often enough. It's kind of frightening to see what is out there. I think the best way to clean your brushes is to always start with Cinema Secrets brush cleanser. I pour it into a little metal container like so, and then it's super easy. You do a quick dip, and then you're gonna wipe it onto a paper towel or an old makeup towel. I have towels at home that are specifically for this. Now, this brush was already cleaned and I've deep cleaned it, and I wanna show you that no matter how clean you get your brushes, there's still just a little residual product. So this is what I do in between clients. I love Cinema Secrets because it dissipates quickly. It doesn't leave a film in your brushes. You always want to swirl it onto a tissue paper towel or a makeup towel afterwards to remove product and all that. It's also super sanitary. It kills bacteria, which is the most important step. Then when it comes to deep cleaning the brushes, so let's say I have a full day of makeup, I'm gonna take my brushes, I'm still gonna clean them with Cinema Secrets to get all the gunk out, all the creams and oils that are hard to remove with soap or shampoo. And then at home, I hold my brushes just like so, upside down, and I have soap in my hands, or I've got that beautiful mitten from Sigma where I can put the soap right there, and you swirl your brushes under running water with the soap. Then you wanna squeeze them super, super well to get as much water out as you can, and then you wanna lay them flat on a towel to dry overnight. That'll ensure that your brushes maintain their shape and the water doesn't drip. I know people like to stand them up when it's drying, but the water's gonna drip right in there and it's gonna mess up your brushes. So lay them flat to dry. And if you're super crazy like I am, I actually lay them right next to the heater at home, and I have them at a slight angle. So I have them on a towel. The towel's folded a couple times under this part of the brush, so that the brushes are at an angle and the water's always draining down and outward away from the bristles, away from the handles. So that's my spiel on brushes. Let's talk about cream products. So Any type of primer, moisturizer, foundation, concealer, anything that can be a cream in a container, you do not want to dip your finger or your brushes into these containers and then go straight to the client. What you want to do, of course, open the lid, that's super important, and then use a spatula. Now you can get spatulas anywhere. I find them on Amazon, they're super duper cheap. Once in a while I'll go to like a swap meet and there'll be like a dentistry tool section and they've got some really interesting shapes. I like this one because it's got a pointed end for smaller containers and it's got a square end that I like to use for pushing product and blending it on a palette. And you also want to have a palette. Now this is the Scott Barnes palette. You'll have to forgive me, it's full of fingerprints, but I love this palette because it's weighted. I can put products on here and hold it up to my client like so to see the colors and see if it works with the overall image that we're creating to match foundation, all of those things without applying product directly to the client. This is an essential tool. It is glass, it's tempered, but you still want to be very careful. You don't want to scratch it, you don't want to drop it or break it, especially if you work in a store where there's like concrete on the floor. So the next thing we're going to do, take out a little bit of moisturizer and apply it here, right? So there's my moisturizer. Then I close my lid of my product so that nothing falls in it, so it doesn't make a mess. If I drop it, it doesn't fall and break everywhere. And then you can use your fingers, your brushes, whatever tools you like to apply your moisturizer. But before you apply anything, guess what? In front of your client or even at home, a little hand sanitizer, work it in and let it dry naturally. You never ever want your sanitizer to be wiped off on a towel because then it's not doing its job. It needs to evaporate naturally. So that's my spiel on creams. Let's talk liquid foundations. So liquids are amazing for working sanitary because it's easy to portion out. So most products will be in a pump format, so you can just pump it directly onto your palette, like the Etherealist foundation or the Skin Tint, which I really love. These can be pumped directly on the palette, so you don't have to worry about double dipping or anything like that. So the other foundation that I really love is called Sensual Skin Enhancer, which is actually many more things than a foundation, but I do love to use it as foundation. And I put mine in these cool little containers from Muji because it's easy to travel, they come apart. I scrape out what I need and close the lid. That's super important because you don't want to drop it and have it make a mess on the floor. Other ways of traveling with foundation, I do these little tiny jars from the Container Store. They're glass, so I have a special system that I use for traveling with them. I will use the spatula to scrape out what I need for my liquid foundation and then immediately close it and set it aside out of the way. Other products for complexion that you want to be sanitary with are concealers. Now, I prefer a concealer in a tube because it's super sanitary from a pro standpoint, but you think about your consumer, they don't want to have to squeeze things out, they might squeeze out too much. So a lot of brands will do these things, they'll do wands, just like a lip gloss, super easy. And I know that I've seen this happen at Canada where people open it up and just tap it and dab it right on the face. That's fine for yourself at home, but thinking about it, every time you touch something to your face, even at home, and you put it back in your bottle, guess what? You're introducing foreign elements into your bottle, which then can in turn turn into something, a whole other mess of situation, right? So as a pro, what you wanna do, open up your concealer, let me move this aside, and you wanna portion it onto a palette, or if your hand is clean and you're comfortable working from the back of your hand, work from the back of your hand. But you can see on this palette, this is the Scott Barnes palette, I've got my foundation, I've got my liquid foundation, I've got primer and moisturizer, all of those things in one spot, easy to use. I also can hold it up to test color, so it's like cheating. So that's my spiel on concealer. Now let's talk about powder products. Pressed powder products are tricky, and I notice a lot of artists, a lot of clients just dipping straight into products everywhere and applying it to their face without any concern for how to keep it clean for other people or how to keep it clean for themselves. I'm gonna fix my hair because it gets out of control. Powder products. So best way to use them is to spritz with a little alcohol from a distance. Now this is 90% alcohol. Bronzer, we love bronzer, but we want to make sure it's clean. Spray it at a little bit of a distance just to get a sheer layer of alcohol in there. Let it dissipate, wipe it off, and then I like to wipe it again. So I'll take another tissue, and this is what we call ghosting. Wipe it onto a tissue, then you're free from the tissue. You have plenty of product to work sanitary to pick up that product and apply it directly to the skin. So the same is going to work for blusher, sculpting highlighting, sculpting powder, eyeshadows, loose powder, which this is my favorite. I love a loose powder because it's super hygienic. You don't even have to dip into the packaging. What you do with your loose powder is just open it up, and I like to shake it out onto a palette, just like so. So I've got my loose powder, more than enough for one application. I wasted a little bit of product there. Then you dip your brush, your clean brush, right into that powder. Give it a good whack on the table, upside down, and then you can apply it without making a mess. And it's super sanitary. So for me, my go-tos for like powders are always gonna be loose, but unfortunately, a lot of brands don't make loose contour, highlight, blush, eyeshadow. So you've got to make do with what you have. So let's demonstrate eyeshadow. We already did it with bronzer. And the same is true for anything in a pressed compact. So if you have pressed foundations, which I never use, but if you do use them, you should always, always clean them. So I like to wipe it first to clean off all the eyeshadows or the ones that I'm gonna use. So that's the top layer of product going in the garbage. Then I give it a little spritz with my alcohol. Let it air dry as much as I can because that's gonna dissipate the alcohol a little bit quicker and kill any bacteria along with it. And you can see, I haven't wiped them yet, but they're already back to normal in that couple seconds of dry time. So worth it to keep your kit clean and keep your client safe. And then I'm gonna wipe my eyeshadow onto a tissue, just like so. Take off that top layer, and then you can dip right onto the tissue to use the product. It's clean, it's sanitary, it's good to go. We wiped it off, we alcoholed, we wiped it again. And this is what they call ghosting. So back in the day when I started working in some stores, they wouldn't allow us to dip directly into eyeshadow to apply to clients because of sanitary reasons. So we would ghost. You wipe it onto a tissue, and then you take your product from your tissue, and then you can apply it to your client however you need. So hopefully that was super helpful for you. Protect yourself, protect your kit. I think even at home for everyday use, we neglect cleaning our products, especially eyeshadow, which anywhere near a mucous membrane is anywhere on the body that's like open to bacteria that's in the air or something like that can get in there and cause issues. So eyes are a mucous membrane, around the nose, the mouth. Those areas you want to be very, very careful and very sanitary. So I hope that helped. Let's talk about the eyes. So I've already stressed this before. When you're working around the eyes, the mouth, the nose, those types of areas where foreign particles can enter the body, you have to be extremely careful. So eyes are really up there with the most important to be sanitary. And let's start with eyebrows. So eyebrow pencil, pretty harmless, right? We think we can just go straight into it. And I've seen people do this at the counter and everywhere else. But I want you to think about like product that seeps into the actual brow product. So this is a retractable and protractable eyebrow pencil by Kevin O'Quan. It goes up and down, which means because it goes back down, stuff can get trapped in there. So when you're cleaning it, hold it right side up, hold it upside down. So product facing down, unwind what you're gonna use, spray it with a little bit of alcohol. Let me get in the camera so you can see. And I've already got my tissue right here laid out and ready. Then I give it a good swipe. I might spray it again. That was just to remove old product. And then let that alcohol dissipate. So in the time that it takes me to shake this like 10, 12 times, it's already dry and good to go. So now we can go and fill in our brows in a hygienic manner for our clients. Next up, let's do eyeliner. So eyeliner, you can do sharpen up, you can do twist up. I like twist up sometimes. I prefer sharpen up sometimes. It just really depends on what your needs are. We'll talk about sharpening pencils when we talk about lips in the next video. So for right now, we're gonna talk twist up pencils. This is Kevin O'Quan's twist up precision liner in Vanta. I like to give it a couple clicks. When you hear it click, that means it's sharp. You open it up and you've got a fresh, sharp point to work with. Same thing as the brow pencil. Hold it upside down, give it a good spritz, give it a wipe on your tissue, give it one more little spritz, and let it air dry a couple seconds. And because this is going into the eye area, I like to give it another round of wiping before I actually apply it, because you don't want the alcohol to enter the eye area and make the eyes water. That'll be a complete bitch when you have to put on your eyelashes later because the eyes will be wet. Next up for eyes, we've already talked powder press shadows. Now let's go into liquid liner. So liquid liners can be super, super tricky, especially if it's a liner that's more like a marker or a pen. It's not my favorite thing to use on clients because it's a little bit trickier and they don't last as long when you're hygienic and you're cleaning them between clients, just because the alcohol eats away at the product. So if you do have a pen, I think they're super easy at home for yourself, for self-use. So maybe once a week you clean it at home. Hold it right side up, and rather than spray the pen, hold it right side up again, I said that. Hold it upside down, and rather than spray the pen, spray your tissue with your alcohol. And before that alcohol dissipates, roll your pen in there. Give it a few swipes, roll it again, give it a few swipes. That alcohol is gonna clean that tip enough, take out all the bacteria so that you can use it on your clients confidently. After you use your product on your client, you're gonna go through that same process again before you put the cap on, because you want clean cap so that nothing transfers back and forth. We don't want to have cross-contamination. So we talked brow pencil, we talked eye pencil twist up, and we talked liquid liner. Now let's talk cream liner. This is my go-to. This is my jam. It's the easiest for hygienic application. All you do is take out what you need, and then I like to leave it open but upside down on the counter so that it doesn't dry out while you're working. Then if I need more, I flip it over, take a fresh batch, flip it over again. Easy to use, right? So now you know hygiene for eye pencils and eyeliners. No eye look is complete until you have the eyes completely framed with a curler and mascara. So, curler, hold it upside down, give it a spritz. I like to do this at the very beginning of the makeup application. Wipe it down really good, and you want to give it plenty of time to dry because you don't want to burn the eye. Otherwise, they'll start tearing and mess up all that beautiful work that you did on the makeup. So now that it's clean and dry, I can go in and curl my lash. So I start really close to my lash line, apply pressure, and walk it out. Now this is an industry standard curler. This is Kevyn Aucoin. I mean, it's super well known. It's the best curler on the market. So if you don't have one, invest in it. It's super inexpensive. They're like 20, 22 bucks. It'll last you for a long time. It has a replacement pad, and it's all about the shape. So his curler is a little bit wider, so it fits more eye shapes without pinching the corners. And it has a red, soft silicone band as opposed to a hard rubber band. The silicone is what's gonna grab the lash and hold it in place, and it's soft enough to where it's not gonna break the lash. It has a little give, so it gives a soft crimp, or if you apply a lot of pressure, you get a hard crimp. It's also a red band so that you can see each lash as you capture it going into the eye. Now, I curl my lashes every single day, and I'm gonna show you why right now. Take a look at this. Curled, not curled. It looks like I have nothing on this eye until I curl that lash. So next thing we're gonna do is apply mascara. I love the curling and the volume mascara. I love them both by Kevyn Aucoin Beauty. Today I'm gonna use the curling mascara. So the downside to using disposable wands is that sometimes they're not the same brush that comes with the mascara. So if you're a really good artist and you're working with a client that's high-end, you wanna gift them a mascara and then say, here, hold on to this. Next time I do your makeup, we'll use this mascara. This is your wand. So that's added value to the makeup. I know it's expensive to do that. That's why it's only for your top clients. And then I have different size brushes in my little toolkit so that I can work with whatever brushes I have. So set this aside, don't dip into your product. Dip your disposable wand, that's a disposable wand, into your mascara, give it a nice swirl. I don't pump, I know people like to pump. I feel like that dries out your mascara really quickly. So I swirl it in the bottle and then I pull it out, give it a little wipe at the end so that I don't make a mess. And then go to use your mascara. Now, if you're gonna do multiple coats of mascara, you wanna throw out your brush between coats and start fresh. So check this out. Curling mascara after using the Kevyn Aucoin curler, it's like night and day. I have full lashes, nothing. So I'm gonna even them out before we get to the next video, which is all about lips. So one of the last steps that I do when I'm doing makeup is lips. So let's talk about hygiene and lip product. So pencils, lipsticks, sharpener, essential, plus your alcohol. So this is the new lip definer by Kevyn Aucoin. It's my favorite color. It's called Divine. It used to be called Medium before, so don't freak out. Medium, we still have it. It's just called Divine now. To sharpen it and make sure it's clean for your client, you always want to spray with alcohol first. Little spritz here. Then you sharpen it up. Give it a few little turns till you get a nice point. Then guess what? Spritz it again. Give it a little time to air dry. A couple seconds, a few little shakes. Wipe it off, and then you're good to go. So this is something I like to do at the beginning of a makeup application too. So during the investigation process, when I'm trying to figure out what the client wants, I start to line up the products as I'm gonna use them in the order of application and start cleaning them all down the row so that when it comes time to apply, it takes less time. So I'm using my time wisely, investigating, prepping, cleaning, and organizing everything while I'm still figuring out what the client wants. Then you go to your lip application just like you know how. I like to start in the center, top and bottom, and then I like to connect from the corners to the middle. This is a technique I learned from some of my mentors. Danny Sands is one of my mentors, and she changed my life when it came to makeup because she was an honest mentor. She always told me when I needed to change things and then taught me how to change them. So done using the pencil, guess what you're gonna do now? You're gonna spray it again. I like to sharpen it again so I have a fresh point next time I use it. Spray it again. Let it dry before I put the cap back on so that we're not transferring or cross-contaminating products. So I'm gonna set that aside. We'll put the cap on later. So that's it for lip pencils, but let's talk lipstick. Now this is tricky. So if you're a pro artist, some of us like to take all of our lipsticks out of the bullets because it's really hard to see the color when you're trying to choose the right color for your client. So we put them in little palettes. You can get like Viseart palette is really good for that. You scrape off what you need, put it in your palette, and you can have a whole collection of product in one palette. But because I don't like the way that looks when I'm on set, sometimes it looks messy if they're doing behind the scenes, I like to use the lipstick. So I just kind of memorize the colors or label them. Clean your lipstick before you use it, always. Never apply directly to the lip until it's clean. So how do you clean a lipstick? Well, you can do two ways. You can pour alcohol into a little dish, unroll the lipstick only a little bit, the amount that you're gonna use, give it a little dip, let it shake and air dry for a little bit to kill bacteria, then wipe it. And then you can apply it directly to the lip, or you can scrape off what you need with the palette and work from that. The other way, this is the way I work, is I hold it upside down and I give it a few sprays of alcohol, let it sit for a moment, give it a couple shakes so that alcohol has a little bit of dissipation. And then I'll wipe it off, scrape off all the product that I'm not gonna use. I will use my scraper or my spatula to take off a little bit of product. Now this is the product I am gonna use. So this is clean and safe to use another day. I can put the cap right back on. And then you can use your lip brush, your finger, whatever you like to apply. Today I'm just gonna use my good old finger. This is the most expensive makeup tool you can get. Now this color is called Rosarin. It's my go-to for natural lip for every day. And I'm just being crazy and just wiping it all over my lips. So unforgettable lipstick, Rosarin, Divine Lip Line, can't survive without. But before you use them, clean them. And guess what? Clean them when you're done so that they're ready to go the next round. So I hope you've enjoyed all of this hygiene conversation. I hope it was quick and painless for you, but it's an essential to keeping your clients, your kit, and yourself clean and safe for every day.